This is Daddy Show. Step off.
It's time for the main event.
Hey, what is up? Welcome back to the program, folks. Thank you for tuning in. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tom Clark, and this right here is Tom Clark's Main Event. What's up, kids? Welcome back to the program. My timing, alas, still sucks. Notice anything different? How's everybody doing out there, man? Good to see you. Happy Friday to you. Look at all the fuzziness happening, man. It's because, I got no green screen behind me. I'm prepared, but I'm not so prepared. Yep. Yep. The beard's gone, baby. I'm basically naked at this point, man. I forgot my watch this morning. Are you kidding me? Shave the beard. I'm gonna let it grow back, by the way, even though it's grayer than I am at this point. Guys, you know what I'm going through, right? And if you're not going through it, you will be. Trust me. You spend any amount of time on this planet, you will go gray. I assure you. Let's say hello to all the kids here in the room. Eric Jackson's first one in the house. How you doing? Happy Friday to you, Will. Guten Tag, Sandy in Germany. Sugar Shane, how you doing? Who are you again? Okay. Norman, have you and I met? Do you have a problem with me? Because, Norman, if you and I have a problem, why don't you just bring it out? You got an issue with me? Have we ever spoke? Because I don't recognize your name. By the way, welcome to the show. Thanks for watching, I guess. But if you have a problem, let's say it. Funny how someone I've never met has a problem with me. Weird how that works. Let's see who else is on the show today. What's up, Tim? Good to see you, man. Oh, isn't that something about the Sixers? I'm still a fan, dude. I'm still a fan. I got to get back in the NBA, dude. I don't have a lot of time like I used to. But actually, those comments about I look young, to be honest with you, you're dead on now, Ray. Ray all day. How are you doing, my friend? CRP, what's going on? Yeah, man. I'm gonna let it grow back, but I really, really needed a trim, and I was too lazy to get in my car and drive across town to make it happen. So I just cut it off, and I'm like, you know what? I'll just let it grow back. It's fine. I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. It's all good. So yeah. Well, someone said the only problem they have with me, Will says, is my lack of buttons. I've laid off the buttons. I started a trend, and now everyone else does it, and it's cool that they do it. That's fine. But now it kind of feels like I've been there and done that. You know what I mean? I'm not saying I'll never do it again, but it kind of feels like, right? Hello, Tina. How are you? Good to see you. Good to see you. Ray, are you back from England? And thanks for telling a brother that you went to London. I had no idea. And you went to France. Are you kidding me? Freaking Ray. Didn't tell us anything, man. Didn't tell us anything. How'd it go, by the way? It looked like you had a blast, dude. Looked like you had an absolute blast. I want to hear all about it. Yeah. Yeah, he thinks he's a man. Trust me. Ray says he's still in Gay Paris. Way to go, man. Yeah, way to go, Ray, as Will said. Sandy, you how far are you from Ray? I don't know countries. I know countries, but you know what I mean? Like in the line of work I'm in, man, like I speak to people all over the world every day, all over the world. And so yeah, I mean, sometimes I know these things, sometimes I don't. Different bad or different good, Tina? Tell me. All right. Well, we've got a lot to get into here today. We've got an hour. You guys know how we roll, right? We've got an hour to do this thing that we do. Yeah. So here's what we'll do here. We're going to get started. Forgive me. I've got things happening, all kinds of things happening at one time. All kinds of things happening at one time. Ooh, I can't wait to read that. I can't tell you what I'm talking about. It's top secret. It's top secret. All right. Let's get to it, kids. Let's get the ticker ticking. By the way, before I go any further, smash the like button for me. And if you're so inclined and wouldn't mind, share the show, share the feed on your feed, share the show on your feed. That'd mean loads to me. I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you. Please and thank you. I'm always nice when I ask. I never demand anything. Please and thank you would be great. Thank you very much. It means loads to me. I appreciate you kids. You guys are awesome. I got sound. Sandy says no sound. You guys can hear me, right? What's up, Brino? What's up, dude? Take it. Oh, baby. Scott, believe me, brother, we're going to get there. In fact, funny you brought it up. All right. We're kicking off with this. Okay, so here we go, kids. This story broke this week, more specifically around April 25th, 26, I believe. Here's what's going on. If you're a WWE fan, you may want to earmuff at this point because you may not like what you hear. And if you're just a pro wrestling fan, you may want to just earmuff because you may not like what you hear. There's no good of this coming for anybody here, okay? Nothing good. When this kind of news comes out, nothing good comes of it, all right? Except that, bad actors are exposed. Foul people are exposed to the truth, to the light of day. Nothing wrong with that. Weed out the bad apples, as they say. A former writer is suing Vince McMahon, Stephanie McMahon, and other WWE executives. So her name is Brittany Abrahams. She has filed suit with WWE. It's in New York, I believe. And it happened on Monday, yes. The accusation is that the company released her after she had an issue with, many different times of what she deemed to be, quote, offensively racist and stereotypical jargon, end quote, used in WWE scripts. There are other people listed as defendants. I won't go through all this entire case, but brother, let me just tell you right now, if you've not read up on this and you're a pro wrestling fan, I think it's important that you read up on this. Okay. I think it's high time that you read up on this and familiarize yourself with what's being said here. And I implore you, do not dismiss this person. Okay. I've never met this person before, but I would ask you not to dismiss everything that she has to say until you read everything. You can make decisions for yourself and decide what you believe or don't believe. That is completely up to you. That is completely up to you. Okay. But at the same time, here's what I'll tell you. Let's hear her out. And there's a reason for that. Let me take a couple comments before I what's up, Ash? How are you? Everybody say hey to Ash. You guys met her a few weeks ago. Awesome. So there you go. Yeah, God, I've got so much going on right now. So many distractions. You have no idea, dude. You have no idea, but it's okay. So there is a lawsuit, Ash, in case you haven't heard. And basically, it's a former writer that used to work for WWE. She believes that she was let go after airing her grievances over, offensively racist and stereotypical jargon used. There's a lot of examples here. I'm telling you, kids, go do your homework and check this out. Supposedly, there's some stuff said about Bianca Belair. They wanted her to act, no disrespect, for lack of a better word, ghetto. That was their words, not mine. And, and to lean heavily into those stereotypes. Okay. And that wasn't the only thing. There's other things that have been said here. A lot of it is freaking nuts. They wanted Shane Thorne. If you know Shane Thorne, he's now working for New Japan. He's back in Australia working for other companies, and he's a part of. I was just watching him. Oh my God, I can't remember his name or the faction with Zach's faction. You know what I'm talking about in New Japan. So the idea was that they were going to do something with Shane Thorne and Reggie. Since Shane is Australian, we should make him a crocodile hunter instead of crocodiles. He hunts people. End quote. And putting Reggie in a cage, a black man in a cage. I want you to think about this. A white guy with a gun. I want you to think about how this looks. Okay? Think about how this looks. That's not the only thing that came up. One of these guys supposedly pitched Mansoor. You guys know who Mansoor is. There were going to be a storyline between Aaliyah Mansour, Angel Garza, who are both Muslim. Okay. And one of the ideas pitched was, how about his secret that he's hiding from her is that he's behind the 9/11 attacks. Let's don't talk about the fact that he was 6 years old when those attacks happened. I think he was 6. I'm not going to read the whole thing to you. It's there if you want to read it. It's there if you want to hear it. You guys go out of your way to go check this out. All right. Here's what I'll say. If you've been a WWE fan for longer than 10 minutes, then you know that there's been all kinds of wacky racist stuff coming out of that company for years. And if anybody doesn't believe that or thinks that I'm lying, you're wrong. Go look it up. For anyone that defends that company, despite the crazy racist things that have come out of that company over the years, shame on you. Okay? Grow up, grow a brain, and admit that there's a lot of problems in this company's past. Next point of order is for anyone who believes that Vince McMahon is solely innocent here when it comes to racist content, what have you, please rethink your position. Far be it from me to accuse a man of being racist. That's not my hill to die on. It's not something that I'm going to do because that's a very serious accusation, so I won't make it here, okay? But here's what I'll tell you. There's been a lot of weird things said and done over the years that he's said and done, that he's been heard saying and doing. And I'm telling you, man, it's messed up, okay? Do not dismiss this woman because you don't know her and you know the McMahons, because you really only know what they're going to show you on TV. Okay? So don't dismiss this. Don't dismiss any person of color or any person of any particular persuasion when they come up or come out with a story of something that's happened to them. That is not to suggest that every person who makes an accusation is telling the truth. Okay? But it's also not to suggest that we also need to believe automatically that any person making an accusation is lying. There has to be a middle ground here. Okay. You have to be willing to look at all sides of this. Now, do we know all sides of this? Absolutely not. We only know what we're reading. We only know what we're hearing. But I want you to take into account the past behaviors. Do not, and I've said this multiple times, defending the wrestlers. Okay. If you're going to have somebody's back, not the $1 billion company, you support the talent. Not all talent, because some talents suck, because some humans suck. Okay. So you gotta be picky, pick and choose who you support here. Okay. But I'm saying as a whole, I'm going to always support the wrestling community and not the $1 billion company. It's how I roll. Doesn't mean I wish ill in the $1 billion company. It's just, I'm telling you from my mindset, from my point of view, where I'm coming from. All right. And I'm just being 100% honest about it. Yes, Ash, he absolutely has said racial things on Raw before. And they would, you know what they chalked it up to? He was in character, pal. Uh-huh. Yeah. Let's see. Chris says settles out of court, never to be heard about again. Anyone wants to take bets over under how many months it takes? Unfortunately, you're probably right. You're probably right. It's a shame, but you're probably right. Brino with a great point. Brino and I have had adult, civilized conversations between a black man and a white guy, as adults can do, without throwing hands and screaming at each other and pointing fingers and making accusations, because we can have civilized conversations as adults. Other people are not capable of that. It's easier for them to make racist comments or do whatever it is they're going to do rather than get down to the hard part. It's easy to throw words around. It's easy to throw insults around. It doesn't take much at all to insult somebody. The hard thing about this is getting to know someone on a personal level and understanding that your race doesn't define you. Your race is part of who you are, for better or worse. It is, let's be honest, okay? But at the same time, it doesn't need to define who you are as a person, as a man or as a woman, whoever you identify as. That's the truth. Ray says, I think, or I heard he wanted Bianca to have gold teeth and talk jive. I'm not shocked. Look at Eddie, lie, cheat, and steal. Booker T versus Triple H. It's horrible. And of course, he supports Adam Cole. Imagine that. Ron says, here's a question. When you watch The Sopranos, Breaking Bad, The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, Family Guy, South Park, and Simpsons, does it count the same way in sports entertainment as it does on those shows? Just asking if it's an entertainment issue, an isolated issue. So I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt and assume that you're asking just a normal, everyday, run-of-the-mill question. But to some regard, Ron, it sounds like you're a WWE diehard fan who's going to defend the company. Now, I'm not saying you are, but it kind of sounds like you're going to, not defensive, let's not get weird, but you know what I mean, right? It kind of sounds like, oh, he has something to say about my company. You can support whoever you want. And if you're a diehard WWE fan and that's all that you love or whatever, besides local wrestling, that's fine. I don't care. It's fine. But I'll answer it honestly. This is not the same thing as TV. And I hear that all the time. This is not the same thing as movies. It's not the same thing as The Simpsons or Family Guy or, man, there's a lot of animation here in your examples. It's not the same thing. It's just not. We want it to be. They want it to be. Vince has said for years, we make movies, pal. No, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't. How many movies have you ever been to that you walked out ticked off? You see what I'm saying? Come on. Over the years, my opinions on this stuff have ebbed and flowed. You want to know why? Because I'm a grown man and I'm an adult, and my opinions can evolve over time, as a lot of yours here in the chat can. You know, normal, sensible people and not wackadoodles can have opinions that evolve over time. Okay? So my take on this has varied over the years, and sometimes I feel one way strongly, feel the other way strongly. This is not a TV show. Wrestling on TV is wrestling on TV. I don't consider that, they want it to be that. They, meaning WWE, want it to be that so bad they can't stand it. And they've convinced a generation of people that that's what they're doing. Okay? But if you have a talent, and listen, not for nothing, this can happen in Hollywood and has happened plenty of times in the past, I'm sure. If an actor comes to a director and says, I'm not comfortable with this, I'm not comfortable saying this, I'm not comfortable doing this, you think that director would threaten to throw them out of the film, threaten to take their job away from them? What do you think happens in WWE? What do you think happens? I'm asking a question. I don't know. I can presume to know, but I'm asking a question. It's not the same thing. I respect your opinion. And like I said, you can support and love whoever you want. It's totally fine with me, dude. That goes for everybody here. But it's not the same. Pro wrestling is unlike anything else. It's not a legitimate sport. It's not a movie. It's not a TV show. It's not animation. It's nothing like, for me, this is why pro wrestling is so great, because it's so hard to define. It's a male soap opera. Stop. I hate that so much. That's the one thing I'll push back on, because that's nonsense, okay? It's hard to define, and it's a true American art form. To me, it's as American as baseball. It really is. It's a true American art form because it's so hard to define, which is one of the most appealing things about it in my mind. It's so hard to define. They tried to define it by calling it sports entertainment. Is that good enough for you? I don't know. I don't know. I'm not avoiding the topic. I'm not avoiding this topic. We're adults here. I'm not avoiding any topic. Bring it to me. Bring it to me. You got to remember, although I don't write as much as I used to, when I was, cutting my teeth as a pro wrestling writer, I never said journalist, as a pro wrestling analyst through the years, I had a responsibility. If a story was put in front of me, and if I had editors say, I want you to cover this, I'd say, okay, I'll cover it. I feel as though I have a responsibility to look at every side. That's why I don't sit here and tell you WWE sucks, hate them, AW's better, love them. I've never, ever said that. I can tell you my preferences personally, but I don't bag on anybody for liking a company. I also don't bag on that company per se for whatever. Okay. My point of view has always been, I will give it to you on both sides. I may have formed an opinion and I'll tell you what it is, but at the end of the day, I'll let you decide. And in terms of what stories to tackle, there's some things I won't mess with. Benoit, I don't mess with that. There's some things I don't mess with because for me personally, I'm not touching it. For something like this needs to be exposed. This is important. Sandy says, a big WWE fan, but I always support the people and not the company. Well, this hurt McMahon's pocketbook or endeavors. I don't think you can hurt McMahon now if you wanted to. He's still not in jail for what he's done before, right? CRP says it's weird as you're making stories, but they're to be presented as real life and live. Proving that it isn't all written as fiction for a lawsuit will be a bit harder, but there you go. People talking about Cora Jade. Cora Jade is an awesome heel. Man, y'all talking about the draft, dude. Dion, brother, have we talked before? Welcome to the show. Pro wrestling is like used to be in the 80s, early 90s. Well, and you know what? I'm an 80s guy. I'm a Crockett kid. I always have been, always will be. I agree with you to a certain extent, but I also don't sit in one era. I just don't. I enjoy a lot of pro wrestling today, man. But I respect your opinion. Ron says I will sit and have a conversation in person with a drink and a cigar in my hand, no problem. But on a podcast, I'm just uncomfortable saying it because the backlash I received over opinions. And you know what? That's fine. That's absolutely fine. If that's how you roll, that's how you roll. I respect your side. But on Tom Clark's main event, no, I don't back down from anything. Not that you're backing down. Don't take it that way. But I'll talk about it. I don't care because I never approach anyone disrespectfully, and I never tell you this is the truth. Despite what the clown said that showed up in the first 9 seconds of the show today, I don't, necessarily take somebody's side or just throw something at you for no good reason. Like my point of view has always been, again, I'll try to call it down the middle and I'll show you both sides and I'll tell you what my opinion is. You can agree to disagree. Whatever you want to do is fine with me. But I just feel like some things need to be talked about. At the end of the day, pro wrestling's supposed to be fun, man. Let's wrap up this story here. Ray says movies are different. You get hired to act in a certain way. You can audition for it or not. WWE wants you to act a certain way, and you don't get a choice unless you're cool with unemployment. There's something to say for that. There's something to say for that. Thank you, Ray. I appreciate you. Alma, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Alma, thanks a lot for hanging out today. Alma, enjoy the rest of your day. Sorry you couldn't hang out with us longer. Brino, let's end this topic with you. This is probably the most annoying can of worms in wrestling. One of my favorite sayings are, racism isn't tough if you're not racist. Where we mess up with this topic is people who don't experience racism having opinions on racism. I can respect that. Sometimes you have to try to understand versus trying to argue a point. Absolutely. Dion, that belt's hideous. That's my opinion. That's my opinion. All right, let's move on with other news. News that's bright and shiny. News that makes you happy. News that makes you feel warm inside and restores your faith in humanity. News that you can't wait to hear that makes you want to get up and face the day with sunshine and birds over your shoulders, chirping over your shoulders, and everything's great. And let's hold hands and sing songs. This is the kind of news that I want to wake up to. Yep. Once again, CM Punk is in the news. Now, I will respectfully disagree with my comrade in arms, my friend, my co-host, my contemporary, Mr. Phil Lindsay. Phil is a massive CM Punk guy. Phil's a Chicagoan, and Phil's got Punk's back through this whole thing. Okay? And I respect that. But however, I disagree with him on this. And here's why. Yes, we know what happened. I saw it in the comments already. He was backstage at Monday Night Raw. It's been confirmed. Supposedly, he said hello to Hunter. Don't know how far it went. Said hello to other people. And so he was, I don't know if he was this. I read he was escorted out. I don't think it was anything ugly. I think it was just, you better get out of here. They're going to think that we're messing with you. So what's going on is there's a new Saturday night show in the works. Supposedly they're calling AEW Collision, and they're going to hand this show to CM Punk. There's talks about a soft split. In other words, splitting the crews, splitting the locker room between this Saturday show and Dynamite on Wednesdays, Rampage on Friday, Ring of Honor, you get it. And basically, they hand this Saturday night show to Punk, whether it's to keep him happy or to so he'll come back to begin with. I don't know. But here's what I'll tell you. No matter why they're handing him the show, and no matter to what regard they're handing the show, they're handing him the show. They're handing him a show, giving it to him. Now, I'm not saying they created this show for him. Possibly they already had this on the books. I don't know that. I don't know. If they created this show for him, that's all the better. To be a little bit miffed here. You're doing everything you can to get this guy back in the fold. And what's he do? He shows up backstage at Monday Night Raw. Now, Phil's take on this, and I invited Phil to the show, but he's got other things happening, so it's all good. But Phil's take on this is pretty interesting because, and I honestly didn't think of it this way. Phil's take is, look, this was probably Punk's way of showing, look, I can go back to WWE in their locker room after years of never setting foot in that company. And I can have polite conversations with some of the people that screwed me. And I can mend fences. And maybe that's a sign to the Bucks and Kenny. Hey, look, adults can adult, right? We can mend fences. I can do this. Why can't you do it with me and do business? My response to that is, I don't think CM Punk attacked Triple H in a locker room, to my knowledge. I don't think CM Punk attacked The Miz in a locker room or anybody else when he was in WWE. Okay? I'm not going to defend or persecute or demonize Punk. Okay? Not my job. And even if I did, it wouldn't make a difference anyway. Not a bit of difference, man. People are going to love him or hate him based on their feelings, and it is what it is. And that company's going to do with him what they want to do. Okay? Doesn't matter what my real opinion is. I can tell you what I think. I think, in my opinion anyway, when it comes to this, that absolutely they gave him the Saturday night show. He should be happy with that because they could have let him sit at home till his contract expired and then showed him the door. Now, I'm not saying he has to go hat in hand to them and be grateful he has a job, but maybe discretion is a better part of valor. Maybe something he doesn't do too awful much. Discretion is a better part of valor. Not attacking, just making a comment. He probably wouldn't like that. He'd probably say mean things to me, but I don't want to say mean things to him because I'm still a fan. CRP says, I went over this in my pod, but splitting a show because some people, some people don't like. One guy's beyond ridiculous. So tired of talking about Punk in general. I agree. 100%. 100%. Shannon's here. My God in heaven. You kidding me? What's up, Shannon? Brandon, how are you doing, my friend? No worries, man. Usually it's 5 o'clock when I go live on Fridays. I just backed up an hour. Tim says we need Phil Lindsay and Ray all day and Sandy on the show again. Absolutely. We'll hook something up, man. We'll hook something up. By the way, guys, smash the like button if you will. If you haven't, please and thank you. And share this on your Facebook feeds. I'd very much appreciate it. Shane says Punk showing up at Raw to me was a slap in the face. Tony Khan, he's not worth the trouble. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I'd say slap in the face. I think it's kind of telling. I think it's telling about the kind of guy that we're dealing with here. And I'm not saying he's a bad guy. I'm not suggesting he's a villain. All I'm saying is that I mean, we don't know who Punk is by now. Punk's going to do Punk stuff when Punk wants to do Punk stuff. Does that make sense? And he's not going to let anybody tell him what to do or how to do it. I respect that, actually. What I don't respect is, again, if all this is true and they created, especially if they created a show to make him happy. My God, dude. Are you kidding me? I can't get people to answer the phone. All right. But they created a show for this dude. Are you kidding? Come on, man. Let's go. What are we doing? What are we doing? One of the things that I want to throw at you, apparently Chris Jericho's perhaps on board. They had a meeting. I think it was it today or last Friday, I think. They've already supposedly had a meeting. They had it planned and supposedly the meeting went well. Don't know what that means. No one got punched. To my knowledge, nobody got punched. So that's always good, right? So there you go. I think if Jericho had kept saying no, then you can't do this. Okay? You can't do this if Jericho keeps saying no. Jericho said no from the beginning. So, anyway, there we are. Thank you, Sandy. I appreciate you. I mean, Jericho's your top guy. I love Mox. Jericho's still your top guy. He's still your top draw. Okay? And because of that, he has to be okay with this. He doesn't necessarily have to love it, but he's got to be okay enough with it. He's got to be okay enough with it to make peace with this guy, whatever that means, if this is going to happen. If this is going to happen. We'll see. Brandon says Punk will always be Punk, 100%. Brenda says, good Lord, I hope that the Punk show doesn't happen. AEW Collision. CRP says Punk gonna Punk just like TNA going to TNA. It is what it is. Khan should have brought the contract out and moved on. Bought the contract out and moved on. So we get another Chicago Punk show, which was old. Last few times they did it. Hot take. I was there in Chicago for his return to the ring. It was fire. It was awesome. I don't have the draft on my marquee there, Sandy. You want to know why? Because the draft's hokey. Is anybody into the draft? Sandy, I'll give you. I'll throw you a bone here, my friend. Who's into this draft? Who's legit into this draft? Who believes that there's anything good going to come of this draft? Maybe it will. Look, if this was the first time they'd ever done it, I'd say, "Ooh, this sounds intriguing." But they've done this and gone back on it so many times. I don't even know to what extent I believe anything they even say anymore, much less about a draft. Brandon says he's kind of into it. There you go. Sandy says, I'm here for the NXT call-ups. That's okay. CRP says they did it like 3 to 4 times after that, including heading to the last pay-per-view with him promoting with Ace Steel. Oh, yeah. My bad, Chris. You're still on the point. It's all good. Montrese, look at you. Looking all awesome. Thank you for the belated birthday wishes. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much. Carter says, I would love if Big E returns, but has Big E been cleared? I don't know. Britta says, used to be, but they always end up crossing brands. I think it'd be cool if the draft itself were final. And here's the problem with the draft. And Brino, you know this. You're a wrestler. People get hurt, man. People get hurt, people get sick, family members die, there's car accidents, there's, they miss flights, the bus has a flat tire, whatever that looks like. Stuff happens. And if you don't have firepower to replace 2 to 4 guys on the card, well, bring them in from the other show, pal. I'm just saying. Oh, I've got that as a headline too, Montrese. For sure. And you know what? We can jump around a little bit. I've already got it on here. Trinity Fatu, formerly known as Naomi. There we go. To Impact Wrestling. Good for her. Good for her. I mean, Impact has got a working relationship with New Japan. So that'll be a way that she can get involved with Mercedes Moné, right? That'll be interesting. I think there's some stuff to talk about there. I think it's pretty cool, actually. I'm okay with it. Good for them. Good for them for sticking to their guns. And again, kids, you can go back and not hate on, but I'll say it. Hate on talents for leaving a company or whatever. But talent's got to do what's best for them, man. You know what I mean? They got to do what's best for them. And what was best for her and Mercedes Moné were to leave. There you go. Listen, Sandy, I say that if she shows up under a different working name, she will have a different gimmick. It'll probably be similar to what she's already done, but dissimilar enough that it will be new. Keith with a great take. Impact has a solid women's division. She will do well, 100%. Tim says Sammy and Kale will retain their tag team titles. I don't believe so. I think they lose them tonight because Sammy's not traveling to the Middle East. I think they lose them again, or they lose them tonight. Brino says also not to stay too racism-y. I don't know if that's a word, but I like it. But imagine how quickly change would have been made if Charlotte Flair had walked out versus not 1 but 2 black women. Read this. Now, do we look at Brino and say, well, the black guy said that? Do we look at it and say, the guy said that? You see where I'm coming from? Because, brother, I've heard, not about you. I'm a white guy in the South. I've heard things like that said for years, as you can imagine. Well, we know why she said that or why he said that. Again, if you've never experienced racism, to Brino's point earlier, it's hard to understand any of it. You can be outraged by it, which is awesome. You can disagree and you can hate it, but you still don't know what it does to a person. I can't imagine. Because if you've ever seen me, I'm as white as they come, Jack. I got nothing here. I'm lucky I can play bass. You know what I mean? I got no soul, man. I'm not trying to be weird. I'm just saying, I'm almost transparent, dude. But I'm outraged by racism myself, but I can't relate to it. I don't really have anything that comes close to it. Someone hating on me because of what I look like. Well, I was the fat kid in school. Does that count? I was a fat kid who was a comic book nerd and loved pro wrestling. Oh, did I get ripped in half? You better believe it. You better believe it, baby. Ripped in half. Shannon with a great take. As long as Naomi, Trinity. As long as Trinity is happy, that's all that matters. 100%. CRP says Trinity was set to do Stardom, but they budget cut and aren't signing. Same reason they didn't want to try to resign Juice and Jay White, per what I've heard. Cool shit. 100%. Yeah. Speaking of Mercedes Moné and the we'll get it right. The NJPW Women's Championship will be decided. As much as I love New Japan Pro Wrestling, and you guys know I'm a big fan of the style of wrestling, I'm a big fan of a lot of that locker room, dude. That locker room is a stellar locker room. I'm such a fan of the wrestling. I'm such a fan of the talents involved. I really, truly am. You guys know that by now if you know anything about me. But one thing I've never been a fan of is how women are, I was going to say treated. I don't know if they're treated badly. I don't want to throw that out. But, the women, the way, and it's getting better in Japan, okay? But I'm saying, like, as a whole in Japanese pro wrestling, you basically have to be stardom. You basically have to be in a women's, not all the time, but especially for New Japan Pro Wrestling. New Japan Resurgence, Sunday, May 21st. It's taking place in Long Beach, California. Not in Japan. It is what it is. In JPW Strong. Stephanie Vacour, if I'm pronouncing that correctly, I'm not familiar with her work. Mercedes Monet, of course. Momo Kogo and Willow Nightingale. So there you go. This should be a very fun match. By the way, if you're not a fan of her work since she stopped being Sasha Banks, you're missing out. If you're only a WWE fan and you don't know the artist formerly known as Sasha Banks, you are missing out. Mercedes Monet is killing it right now. She looks good. She's adapted very well to another style. I love that she's done this. I love that she's pursued this beyond WWE. Sandy, thanks for hanging out, my friend. James, last time you saw me, I was a brother in the beard. I'm going to let it grow back. It's already on its way. Tim says, where'd you go? Tim says Tom Clark, Jay White, and Chief Robinson are a tag team today. Yeah, Bullet Club Gold. Chris with a K says, when Asuka lost to Bianca, I heard she was she was complaining, or she was contemplating going, yeah, I heard that too. Yeah, same thing. Ryan, what's up, my friend? Thanks for watching the show, dude. Tom is doing the Ezekiel bit by oh my God, I wish I had thought of that. That'd have been great. Yeah, Chris, Willow Nightingale's very, very good, man. Robbie, what's up? He says, you're mentioning some Samoans yesterday on Let's Make a Deal. Wayne was talking to a contestant and said, I heard you have a connection to wrestling. What's the connection? The contestant said, my daughter is Nia Jax and my nephew is The Rock. Needless to say, he won $1,500. There you go. Well, to be honest, Chris, it's probably scary for everybody here that I shaved as well. Trust me, I didn't recognize myself in the mirror. What's up, Josh? Brendan says, so this is Dom, not Tom. Oh, well done. I would have come up with like Todd. You know what I mean? That's what I would have done. But, man, your way is much better. I love it. Love it. One more thing, going back to AEW. What do you guys think about a Saturday night show? And do you think they can make it as big as Dynamite? I mean, what are the ratings looking like for a Saturday night show? Friday's a tough slot for all TV programming. Let's be honest, especially pro wrestling, as we've seen. What's up with Saturday night, man? I'm curious to get your guys' thoughts on that. Do you think it's worth it? Should they? Shouldn't they? Looks like it's going to happen regardless of what we think. I just don't know how I feel about it. Montrese, aren't you awesome? Thank you so much. Montrese got my back. See that? Montrese knows. That meant nothing, by the way, but it felt cool. All right. It's not as cool when you call it out. When you tell people you did it, it's not half as cool. A lot of people don't like the idea of this Saturday show. Man, what's going on? Chris the K says, maybe not sure if the ratings will be good. Ray's got my back. Ray and Montrese, we should be a trio. There you go. Chad Too Bad says they're dropping the one show to have this. No, from what I heard, Rampage is staying put. Rampage stays put on Fridays. They're not dropping the show. I don't want them to. Robbie says, quote a song, Saturday night's all right for fighting. Well done. Yep. Shane, great point. Nostalgia with the Saturday night wrestling show, 100%. All right, kids, guess what we're about to do? Cha-cha. Open the floor wide open, baby. This is your chance to ask me anything you've got. This is an AMA, baby. Ask me anything, whatever you got. I'm all ears. No one's perfect. But let's get to it. The floor is wide open. Ray, we patiently await your question. Let's see here. Boy. Tim says, I like it wrestling on Saturday nights because for me, there's nothing good on TV until college football season starts. That's fair. Montre says, how do y'all feel about the new WWE belt being $539? I don't think it's worth $5.39. So that's what I think. By the way, I'm staggering just a bit here. Everybody be patient with me. I saw myself frozen for just a second. Ooh. All right. Yeah, I don't like it. I got a belt. That belt's terrible. We haven't talked about that belt. Y'all want to talk about the belt? Let me get this straight, Montrese. Come closer. I know it's hard to deal with all this unnecessary whiteness. Come closer. Put it a little bit closer to your ear. Listen up. I want everybody to listen. I want to get this straight. Okay? So instead of putting over the white hot baby face that had a great ovation, that suffered through a horrific injury, worked a match with a purple chest, okay? Worked a match with an injury. Had the crowd on his side, the memory of his father looming large over the match. They used his father in the storyline. That angle was built for Cody to win the championship. Instead of putting the belt on him, they create a third world title. And we don't even know what belt this is. Is this the World Heavyweight Championship belt they've unified twice now? Or is this another brand new World Heavyweight Championship? You had an answer staring you right in the face. You didn't take the way out because you don't want to beat Roman Reigns. Ever. All right. Cool. I don't get it, but it's your company, man. Ray. Biggie or Nas? Biggie. Part 2 EPMD or House of Pain EPMD? EPMD. You said EMPD. Isn't it EPMD? I thought it was EPMD. Yeah. Ray. Throw me a curveball. I see what you did there. And if Adam Cole invited you and family to an all-day spa and said you can bring a friend, can I join? Okay. Later took you all to the coffee shop to get delicious coffee and a yummy pie. I was going to say pecan. Can it be pecan pie? Absolutely, Ray. All in. Who will be the first 5 drafted? Hold on. Roman, Cody, Seth, Becky, Charlotte. That's 4. And Ray. I don't know. Do I think Ted Jr. will go to jail? I think if he stands trial and is found guilty, there's ultimately he could go to jail, yes. Because I don't really know how to answer that question otherwise. I mean, anything's possible, right? Sugar Shane says, saw a story in the Skywalker match with the Road Warriors and the Midnight Express. I didn't know Hawk broke his leg 3 days before the match. Yep, he did. I knew that, actually. Yeah, he still climbed that ladder and went up there. Crazy. And then Cornette blew both of his knees out when he hit the mat. Effing nuts, man. Nuts. CRP says is to have Roman beat the Bruno record. They're just taking one of his belts. They should have waited until the draft. Yeah, I just don't know the need for this. No one's going to look back on Roman Reigns' run and say it was anything less than stellar and say it was anything less than great. And if anyone doesn't give him credit for the work he's done, shame on them. But they could have took these belts off of him. Mania would have been fine. He still would have gotten his props. He still would have gotten his flowers, no pun intended. And he still would have been around. You know? But again, I'm not writing this shtick. They are. Thought I was going to say something else, didn't you? I didn't. Not sure if you talked about it, but your thoughts on Chavo not liking Ray promoting his death still. I get it. At the same time, Chavo's his family, and I'm sure that Ray's his family too. Chavo's his blood family. Okay. Should it have been something that Ray maybe went to Chavo with or Vicky ahead of time? Yeah, probably so. Did he go to Vicky? I don't have the answer to that. I mean, to me in pro wrestling, everything's fair game as long as you clear it with the family. That's the way I've always felt. That's the way I've always felt. Do I love the angle or the idea of this? No. But again, it's pro wrestling. I have to understand what I'm watching. Thank you, Chris with a K. I appreciate you, my friend. Keith says, will MJF retain it all in? Yes. I mean, I think so. Where you at? Hello, Marie. How are you? For a second there, I thought that was an emoji of a piece of pizza. I haven't ate since cereal this morning. I'm hungry. Now I'm hungry. How are you? Tim said, if you can go back in time to watch an NBA game in the 1980s, which game will it be? What a great question. I would say anything between Bird and Magic. I'd say anything between Bird and Magic. I can't say Jordan because that's a bit before he really started to make an impact. I'd say maybe a championship game 7 between Bird and Magic would have been fun to watch. Dion says, first timer watching Dr. Chris. Dude, thank you for coming on. And when you see Chris again, you tell him that his boy said, hey. Because me and Chris, Dan, I don't know if you know this, me and Chris have history. We work together on 3 different websites. I forget the number. Chris has been a friend, a confidant. He's helped me over the years. Because he's helped me, I've been able to help other people. Marie, who I just said hello to, she and her partner Sarah have a podcast. I have some small part of that. Okay. But I've got another small part in both of them becoming writers, pro wrestling writers. But the reason I had some of the opportunities I had was because of Chris. So I'll always give props back where it's due. And this thing is a chain reaction. Tina and Sarah, if they haven't done it yet, will help someone at some point. And then those people will be able to say, those girls helped me. See what I'm saying? So I believe in paying it forward. All right. So yeah, tell Chris I said hello. That's my guy right there, man. Yes, Trinity, Tina, Trinity. We're trying to call her by her name here. We don't know what she's going to call herself. By the way, why would you prefer Naomi over Trinity? Not you. I'm talking about if it were her. Obviously, in WWE, you got to do with what you roll with whatever they gave you. But Trinity is such a fantastic name. Are you kidding me? Now she can market that. And you know, Sasha's real name is Mercedes. How awesome is that? Your name is Mercedes. What? Dude, what a great name. CRP says, does Impact have a pay-per-view night? Their weekly show was last night. I think you're right. Brenda says today is National Superhero Day. I didn't know that. Man, am I out of touch with reality. I've had my head down working the entire day. It's how I roll. How am I going to celebrate it? I'll celebrate it with the man. And you won't be able to see him. There you go. See the freaking, there it is. Hey, Mr. Kevin Smith. By the way, I interviewed Kevin Smith for my shoot job last year. It was in May of last year. We're coming up on a year for that. So guys, go check it out. Just look up Tom Clark, Kevin Smith on the YouTube and you'll find it. So yeah, if you just put those 2 word names together, it should pop up. At least I think it will. Pretty sure. Vikings, baby. I've been a Minnesota guy since Randy Moss played for them, and I just stuck with them since then. What's up, Wilf? How are you? We're about to wrap the show up. I did it at 4 o'clock today, and yes, I announced it. Sometimes I get not rude emails from people, but sometimes I get, what happened? And I'll be like, I did announce it, guys. It was announced. Chad Too Bad says, with today being Superior Day, who would your character be or your superpower? We don't have time for this. I'm a fanboy. You understand? This is an hour-long conversation. I had this conversation last week with somebody that didn't care. And it took 30 minutes. Imagine how long I'll take with somebody that does care. That's the truth, by the way. There's so many different answers to this. And that typical Mallrats answer that Brody gave, well, how do you measure? Do I go for power, to speed? Do I fly? I'm along those same lines, except I get too literal with it. Like, if I had a power, would it be the kind of power that would protect me? In other words, that I could physically go help people and not get shot to death, or they wouldn't hunt me down or follow me back home one day and shoot me in my own home. You see what I'm saying? Like, and I take this stuff seriously. I'm such a nerd, but like, that's where I'm coming down at. And also, if you live in a small town with a modest amount of crime, unless you live in LA or New York or Chicago or Philadelphia or Iraq or something, or you know what I mean? And it's just like the normal, I say that a modest amount of crime, you get what I'm saying. Why would you need super speed? Why would you need super power? Why would you need adamantium claws? Why would you need invulnerability? Why would you need, you see what I'm saying? How can those things help you in your everyday life unless you're like in a circus making all kinds of money? I can get behind that. I'm telling you, don't bring this up. We'll be here all day, baby. My favorite Kevin Smith movie. That's hard. What's my favorite Kevin Smith movie? I love Mallrats, by the way. I really enjoyed Dogma. I think Dogma to date is the biggest moneymaker he's ever made. Pretty sure. I enjoyed Mallrats. Thank you, Dion. Thanks for hanging out, dude. I appreciate you. Have a great evening as well. Man, that's tough. That is putting me on the spot with the Kevin Smith thing. I thought Jay and Silent Bob Strike Again was really good. I have yet to see Clerks 3. The first Clerks is a piece of art. Let's be honest. It's so good. I don't care what anybody says. I love that movie, dude. Kidding me? All right, so here's the latest, Brendan, on Mallrats 2. Unless something's changed. Not Mallrats. All right. When I interviewed Kevin last year, he made it clear that the rights to Mallrats were owned by somebody. Now, here's what I tell you: you can't get a Dogma 2 for sure. There's a big story behind that. Go look it up. But I have heard about a Mallrats 2, so I'm not going to tell you you're wrong. I'm trying to remember back to my own interview with the guy, and I can't even. I'm fuzzy on it. A couple more. We're going to have to go here, kids. Shane says, "You see, the Green Arrow made his final appearance on the Flash TV show." No. Oh, I'm so happy for that team because, no pun intended, because they've had so many great episodes under their belts and they had such an incredible run. No pun intended. Grant Gustin is fantastic. Best Flash we've ever seen live action, 100%. And I love John Wesley Shipp, by the way. But I'm not going to compare Grant Gustin and Ezra Miller. There's no comparison. Grant Gustin's one of a kind. So I'm glad that they went that long. I think it's great. And good on them. And I'm glad I wish them all the success. I hope Grant Gustin becomes a Flash on the big screen full time. That'd be great. I do really enjoy Chasing Amy, by the way, Chris. I 100% do. Do I think Randy Orton actually returns? Yes, I do. Absolutely. And only to WWE. That's my guess. Don't think he'll ever go anywhere else. But I could be wrong. I've been wrong before, but that's what I think. All right, kids. Guess what? We're getting out of here. That's it for us. We're going to go start our weekend. I got things to do, places to go, and peoples to see. I want to thank everybody here for hanging out with me, for spending your Friday or early Friday evening with me, late Friday afternoon, perhaps. I appreciate it very much. You guys are the best of all time. You guys know I love you very much. Thanks always for supporting the show. Sorry we weren't here last week. We should be back next week. If anything changes, I will let you know ahead of time. Remember to subscribe to Tom Clark's 6M podcast, movies, music, Marvel magazines, miniseries, and more. That's the 6Ms. We just released, what did we just release? Paul is Dead, over the Paul McCartney death rumors from 1966. It's ridiculous. But I'm a big Beatles guy. That was a fun episode. We're in the process of recording the original X-Men trilogy. We just recorded X-Men 2. Yes, we're going to record X-Men 3 because I'm an idiot. X3 is a really bad flick, by the way, kids, just so you know. Spoiler alert, unless in case you want to watch it, never saw it. But we do everything on the 6M. Please go subscribe today. Costs you nothing. Subscribing to the main event on all the major podcast platforms costs you nothing. None of my stuff's behind a paywall because I just don't do that, okay? So everything I've got is free of charge. Please go check it out. Download today. Subscribe today. Thank you much. I very much do appreciate it. We're going to get out of here. We appreciate you very much. Oh, excuse me. We appreciate you very much. We're going to go. Have a great weekend. Be safe. All right. Let me get the fingers in there. Talk soon. Good night, Facebook.